recording? Hi guys, and welcome to the Glampitect webinar on picking the right manufacturer for your glamping site. This is our third webinar in a series of monthly webinars that we're going to be doing. We've got some of the topics that we'll be sharing soon of future ones. We've also gone through financing and the 12 do's and don'ts of starting your glamping site. So if you've missed any of them, we've got blogs on the website, we've got videos on YouTube. It's easy to find all that stuff. Give me a shout if you need to find any of it and I can point you in the right direction. We've got quite a few people along here today for the picking the right manufacturer for your glamping site webinar. And so I'll introduce them all now. First, I've got Jack next to me. A lot of you will probably know Jack. He's come out to help me with a trade show out here in Dubai. Mute yourself. Where's the... 2 seconds, we're about to start echo. So Jack came out to help me with the trade show in Dubai. Fortunately, not to help me with technology because he's not very good at it. But yeah, this is Jack.
Hi guys, yeah, I'm Jack. I'm the client relations consultant at Glampitect. Yeah, like Calum said, out in Dubai. But today I'll be helping. If anybody's got any questions for the chat box or anything like that, feel free to chuck them in there, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Feel free to do that as much as you can.
Cheers, Jack. So yeah, there's the chat along the side. So if you go up to the top kind of right-hand side and hit the chat button, feel free to type in questions at any point. Jack will be replying as we go. And I'll also get him to pick out some that I'll say out loud and stuff like that too. We've also got Dan here somewhere. Some of you will know Dan. I don't know where he is. He's meant to be coming in, but he might join us at some point. We've also got Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
How you doing, guys?
And we've got Calum from Glampitect as well. Other Calum.
Hi guys. Hope everyone's having a nice evening.
Cheers, Calum. And then we've got Oliver from Oliver's Huts.
Hi there.
And then finally, we are meant to have Graham from Timberbuilds. He's a little bit late. We'll confirm if he's going to come along or not. But with that said, we can get started. So I've got a little presentation that we've put together. I'll share that just now, and we can get started. So, for those of you that is that gonna work? Yeah, there we go. For those of you that have gone to the previous two webinars, the first 5-10 minutes of this might be a little bit boring because it's about me again. You'll have heard it all before. So if you have been along to the first couple of webinars, maybe go and make yourself a cup of tea or something, you're going to have heard all of this before. But for those of you that don't know me and don't know us, Glampitect, Glamcompare, and so on, I'm going to quickly run through who we are and what we do. So who am I? I'm Calum MacLeod, Director of North Coast 500 Pods, Glampitect, Glampitect Global, and Glamcompare. So lots of different things going on there, all within the glamping industry. Won a couple of awards for best glamping site. In fact, my first site when we opened. Within a few months, we'd won the award for the best glamping site in Scotland. This says here worked on over 400 glamping projects worldwide. It's now over 650, so that number needs updated. And I currently own 2 glamping sites with 3 more in various stages of design. So lots of things going on with glamping. It all started with North Coast 500 Pods. So this was actually my mum and dad's land, and they had some land up north and weren't really doing anything with it. And so it was actually my mum that said, why don't we do a glamping site? So I went ahead and got planning permission for it, did all the drawings myself because I actually had CAD ability and planning ability and all those things. Completed the planning application and then quite quickly realised that, in fact, this is a Glampitect bit, I'll keep that for Glampitect. So I set up NC500 Pods with my business partner, Ali, here, and I'll very quickly run you around it. So this is NC500 Pods Achmelvik. It's my first site. It opened in summer 2019. I'll give you a very quick guided tour. It's not all about our site, so I'm not going to spend too long on this. But you can see here we've got a big decking with festoon lighting and everything. It is a little bit miserable given that it's November in the north of Scotland, so we've got the barbecue tied down with stones on top of it. But it looks nice in summer when it's sunny for all 5 days of the year that happens. We run round and I'll very quickly show you our pods. So this is a fairly standard glamping pod that we've got here. 6.7 meters long, 3.3 meters wide, and I don't know how high.
3.1.
3.1. Jack the stats man. He's not very good with technology, but he's great with stats. I'll do that. So we put on here some lighting at the front, lights up the pods. You know, and make them look lovely at night. We like to put in a lot of USPs. This isn't necessarily the webinar for USPs, but USPs are big. We'll maybe do a webinar about them another time. We've got a pull-out double sofa bed here, so this pulls into a double bed. So this could easily sleep a family of 4. Got a TV here with Netflix and stuff on it, and full kitchen. Then got a double bed, and as well as that, kind of full kitchen, including microwave and stuff like that. Then into the bathroom, full bathroom in here, so shower, sink, toilet, and so on. Before we come off, guys, does anyone have any questions on this? Feel free to unmute yourself and shout out, or feel free to type in the box. Just before I stop sharing this, because it's always, you know, good to point you to some stuff if we've got it. Francis, go ahead. You might be on mute.
I just put the question in the box.
Okay. How is it heated? So, how is this heated? There's a thin layer of, I believe it's carbon fiber, although that might be a lie. There's a thin layer of underfloor heating under the floor here, and you can see here we've got a thermostat. So you literally just press up and down, and it heats it up. It's relatively slow to heat up compared to like a radiator, but because of the really good insulation, it stays hot consistently. You only need it to start to get heated in, and it'll be hot for as long as you need it for. Any more questions?
Dimensional again, I'll put that in the chat. Yeah, design. Sorry.
Yeah, all good. Okay, cool. Right, so I'll go back to the presentation. Who are Glampitect? So the idea was born at the glamping show. It was after I set up my own first glamping site. I realized that there was a lot of people out there looking at buying glamping pods, looking at buying shepherd's huts and so on. Everyone was walking around the glamping show, but there was nobody there to help them set up a glamping business. And I thought, well, I'm doing that for myself right now. I can help people. And so I did set up Glampitect we launched pretty much the following glamping show. So it was September 2019. Yeah, September 2019 that we officially launched. And quickly I went full time at that by the end of 2019. From there, we've grown pretty quickly. We've now got a team of over 20 that work purely on glamping. And our main offerings are site feasibility, so feasibility studies. And by the way, I'm going to ask you guys if there's anybody out there that's done a feasibility study. And if you have, let us know in the chat if you'd be happy to let us know how it went, what you thought of it. Always a risky thing to do, I know, but we've always had good feedback in them. So if anybody has any feedback on the feasibility study and we'd be happy to chat, then drop us a message in the chat and I'll ask you when we get to that bit. We also do pre and full planning applications and help with websites and marketing. There's a few other things in there, but that's our main offerings with Glampitect, and that is the capacity that I'm here in today. Who are Glamcompare? Sam is actually going to be speaking to us about Glamcompare in a little bit towards the end of me speaking today, but I'll quickly run through what Glamcompare do before we start that. So we compare all the glamping pods, all the shepherd's huts, and all the other types of units in the UK through our app. Now, it's not a mobile app, that's allowing me to change that graphic. It's a web app, and it's launched now, so It's super exciting. We only launched 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've already had hundreds of people use the app, which is fantastic. We're essentially a free, easy to use app that will, within 5 minutes, work out the perfect manufacturer for you. You put in all of your information and it tells you the best manufacturer for you. I'll hold off on saying any more on that now because Sam is going to be chatting to us about that soon. What stage are your glamping plans at? So usually I would share a questionnaire just now for you guys to fill stuff in, but I've not got that with me today. But if you guys want to just type in the chat what stage you're at, whether you're at feasibility stage, if you're in planning, if you've got planning approved, if you're about to buy pods, if you could just let us know in the chat, and I'll try and tailor the presentation to most of the answers so that I can really kind of get clear with you guys on, roughly where you are. Okay, so Glampitect feasibility study. It's something I mentioned a minute ago. Jack, go and see in the chat if there's anybody that is happy to chat about it. What is a feasibility study? So it's about a 20 or 25 page report that looks at the 4 most important aspects of setting up a glamping business. Firstly, planning probability. How likely is it that your glamping site will gain planning approval with a local council? Next, construction challenges. So what issues will you encounter? How much water, power, drainage, telecoms do you need on your site? Next would be demand and competitor analysis. So who's around? How much are they charging? How does your site compare to theirs? And therefore, how much can you charge yourself? And then return on investment analysis. So how much is the site going to cost to set up? And how quickly will that money come back? And then finally, the reason we're here, manufacturers and supplier recommendations. So we can help compare them, suggest the best manufacturers for you. I'm not going to make this a sales pitch. So I'm not going to talk about the costs and stuff just now. But if you want to discuss a feasibility study, if you've not already had one, then let one of the guys know, whether it's Sam, Calum, Dan or Jack, let the guys know and they'll be able to assist. Is there anybody that has done a feasibility study that wants to say?
Sarah, there's loads of people, but well,
Okay, Sarah King. Sarah King, would you mind unmuting yourself and just letting us know how you found the feasibility study?
Actually, yeah, I was really impressed with it. It's very good. So it gave us a good starting point and kind of the information that we needed to kind of go forwards with the planning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? I can't see back up. That's fine. Okay, right, good. Well, yeah, if you want to chat about feasibility studies with any of the guys, then reach out to them and they will happily assist. Now, back onto our webinar. So, there's a few different things that we're going to run through tonight in the next probably 45 minutes or so. Firstly, what are the different types of glamping unit? Then factors that are going to affect the price of the units. When should you buy them? Who are some of the leading manufacturers? And then who are Glamcompare and how can they help? So there's some obvious types of glamping unit here. Some that you'll have all seen, some that you'll have all heard of. The standard glamping pod and the shepherd's hut, jumping out as being the really clear and obvious ones for me. However, there's a lot of other different types of glamping unit that you may or may not know about. So there's yurts, domes, safari tents, and I'll point out some of these as we're going. So this is a dome here, geodesic dome. We've got bell tent over here. This is a safari tent, and I guess this is kind of a yurt. And then also completely bespoke builds. So there's lots of different, variations that you could create yourself with a manufacturer. I think quite a lot of the manufacturers are willing to do things bespoke, so you could make it, as different as you like within reason. And then also tree houses, cabins, all those things. They all have very different price tags, and the types and ranges change massively as well. But that is all the kind of key different types of glamping unit. And I think we have, Sam can correct me if I'm wrong later, I think we have at least 1 or 2 of each of those on Glamcompare. And yeah, as I say, Sam is going to speak about that later on. So what glamping unit is right for your site? Jack, by the way, I'll take a couple of questions after this, so we'll pick out some good ones. So guest experience, what type of site are they looking to create? So that's what I mentioned earlier about USPs, unique selling points. So I always think having great unique selling points in there is massive. And it might be that some of the manufacturers will give you your own USPs. Things that are as simple as we've got a full kitchen in our units, that is a pretty big USP. We did the lights out the front, that was the first USP that I mentioned. And that's a big USP. Even things like having a bathroom is essentially a unique selling point compared to some other places. So yeah, what type of guest experience do you want? And that can, guide what type of unit it is that you're looking for. Next, the obvious one, what's your intended budget per unit? And I think Sam might even mention later on some kind of rough costings as he's running through Glamcompare. But yeah, how much are you expecting to spend on your unit is definitely a key factor, obviously, in any purchasing decision, especially something as big as a few glamping pods, shepherd's huts, or whatever type of unit it is that you're going for. Next, will your business be seasonal or open all year round? So obviously something like a bell tent most likely will not be open in the depths of winter, whereas glamping pods like the ones that we have ourselves, I've actually stayed in them in January, February, and they've been perfectly fine. It's actually really nice looking out, seeing how kind of cold and wet it is, but having the nice underfloor heating on, the pod being lovely and warm. So that will obviously guide the type and the shape and all that of the glamping pods or shepherd's huts or whatever else it is that you're going to purchase. Next, who is your target market? So are you going for families? Are you going for couples? We actually have some clients that are adult-only sites, and that would guide the shape of the inside of your unit. So, for example, as I showed you, we have that double sofa bed, and we also have the double bed. So if a young couple comes and stays, it feels like it's made for them because they've got a double bed and they've got a sofa. If it's a young family that comes and stays, it also feels like it's made for them because they've got a double bed and then they've got the sofa bed there as well, or anything else as well. So up to 4 people can stay in our pods, no problem. Or it might be you're going somewhere that actually there's going to be bigger groups. And in that instance, you could go for a unit that maybe has bunk beds included in it as well. And then you could sleep up to 6 people in there. So there's lots of different variations that you can go for, and that will affect your target market, or your target market will affect that, sorry. Next, how will you manage the day-to-day operation of your site? So that, yeah, there's kind of key things that can be impacted there. For example, on our units that you've seen, we have key safes on the front door. So because I live in Dubai, as we've mentioned already, I'm 5,000 miles away from my own glamping site, and I'm not involved in the day-to-day at all. We need to have as many autonomous systems as we can. So we've got an autonomous booking system that links into that key safe on the front door, which means that the day-to-day operations are much, there's much less labor to them. So that's a kind of key way that you could set up your pod, your hut, whatever it is, so that it's easily used without you needing to be as involved as maybe other people would be. And then what space and services do you have available? So how big is your area? That will obviously impact the shape and size and type of the unit. And as well as that, what services do you have? So if you don't have a whole load of electricity nearby, then it might be that you need to go for units that don't have a big electricity demand. Now, there are other ways to fix that. You could use LPG gas bottles, you could put in solar PV, blah, blah, blah. There's loads of ways that you can supplement electricity. So I'm not saying that changing the type of pod is the right solution there, but it is one solution that you may have. So that is some of the key things that you need to consider when you're selecting the unit for your site. Jack, have we got some questions?
It's more just people just telling us what they're doing as opposed to questions.
Nothing worthwhile. Cool. Okay. As we said, guys, type away if you've got any questions. Usually we've got loads, so hopefully you guys can think of some and prepare some questions for Oliver. And I believe
Here's one.
Okay, yeah, are your pods gas heating for the underfloor? So no, it's actually electric underfloor heating. You can use gas, but ours is everything's electric. So the hob's electric, the oven's electric, underfloor heating, water heating, everything's electric. It's just one less service that you need. So we don't have any gas in there at all. On the flip side, you could have pretty much everything off of gas apart from like lighting and stuff. And that would massively reduce your electricity demand. So, you can weigh it up. If it's easy for you to get gas and hard to get electric, use gas. It can be set up in any way that you want. So yeah, as I mentioned, Oliver and Graham are both here and they'll can kind of help with all that stuff when it gets to that stage as well. And yeah, if you've got any questions for them when we come along, as I say, we've got a Shepherd's Hut manufacturer and a Glamping Pod manufacturer. So feel free to put in questions for them for when we get to that stage. We've got Dan along as well. Dan, are you wanting to say hi?
Hello, sorry, I'm late to the party, but good to see everyone's busy and looking forward for the presentation.
So Dan is out in my hallway. Can we see him? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't fit all three of us in here. So
There's one more question. Thoughts on roundhouses? I don't see them included.
thoughts on roundhouses. So it's not something that we come across very much. I think they're nice for the demographic of the kind of more new school glamping, I guess would be the term. Roundhouses maybe don't quite fit into that type of demographic, and because of that, we focus more on Shepherd's Huts and glamping pods and so on. But I think the roundhouses do have a good place in the market for certain demographics, just not necessarily the ones that we work with. That was very diplomatic of me. Many factors affect unit pricing, and here is some of them here. So yeah, of course, the size of the unit, it's just basic economics. The more material, the more it costs, and guest capacity as well. So again, basic economics. That's all to do with size and material proportions. Next, features, so things like showers, kitchen, underfloor heating. Obviously, you saw in our pod we have a full, washroom in there. We've got shower, sink, toilet, all nicely set out, good materials and so on. So that costs money. Having a full kitchen obviously costs money. There are things that we've added in as well, like the TV, the sofa, table and chairs, so on. All of these things cost money. So yeah, the more good features you add in, the more it's going to cost. But as well as that, ultimately, the more money you can charge per night. So to give you an example, our pods that you see or that you saw before, I think we spent about £23,000 per unit on them. Now prices have gone up. Those same units are going to be roughly £30,000 each now. Is that about right?
29.5 plus VAT for these ones.
Yeah, 29.5 plus VAT for the one that you see there. So prices have gone up a little bit due to materials and demand and all those things. However, in the height of summer, we're charging £250 a night for the site that you see there per pod, and we're getting it. We're going to be fully booked by the time it comes around. So you do the quick mental maths, that quickly pays itself back. Now, obviously, we're not like that year round, but even in the depths of winter, we're over £100 a night and pretty highly occupied on that site. So they do pay themselves back quickly, and the more features you have, the more you can charge, and ultimately, the quicker you can pay yourself back because of that. Next, is it fully furnished? Is it fully finished and kitted out, or is it just a shelf? So what you can do with manufacturers is you could buy, even just do a frame. So you could just buy the frame, build it all yourself, or you could buy just the kind of exterior walls and roof and ceiling and all that stuff, floor, and then fit it out yourself. Or you could get it fully done, as you can see with ours. So you can massively reduce the cost by not putting in, not getting it fully furnished, but obviously you then have cost down the line of doing that yourself. And that's just one you've got to weigh up. If you're like me, I'm fairly lazy, and I just want it done. So mine got dropped off. In fact, my second site, so it's not the site that you see there, But my second site, we got a pod delivered on the Wednesday night, and we had people staying in it on the Thursday afternoon. So that's how kind of fully finished they can come, if that's the way you want to do it. Now, as well as that, they're plug and play. So literally, we had to plug in the electric, plug in the water, plug in the drainage, and people were in it. So yeah, I'm lazy. I prefer it that way. But if you have a bit more time and patience, then by all means you could kit it out yourself. Next, is it high-end spec? High-end luxury, or is it more basic? Are you going for composting toilets rather than the full bathroom? Are you not going for toilets at all? Are you not going for a kitchen at all? You could spin a pod down to under £10,000, and as it stands, still make money from that. Although this is a question I get asked all the time: is saturation coming? When's it coming? All of these things. And I do believe that we will get to a saturation point of some description, whereby some of the lesser sites will stop making the ridiculous money that they're making. And what do I mean by that? We're seeing, £10,000 or less units, literally like garden sheds with a gym mat for a bed, getting, £100+ a night at the moment. That can't last forever. It needs to get to a stage whereby there's enough really good high quality glamping that's charging a reasonable amount, that those places will start to struggle. So yeah, I always kind of try and lean away from the super basic ones, because I think that they will be the guys that ultimately start to struggle in a few years' time. That being said, they will make a quick buck in the meantime. So if you are just wanting to make a quick buck, go basic. But for those of you that want a more long-term business that's going to be, loved for years to come, then I would strongly recommend going a little bit higher end if you can. And then again, basic economics here: total number of units being ordered will obviously impact the pricing. If you get 4, it's going to be 4 times more than 1. However, you do sometimes get some bulk discounts. What I would say is, don't go in expecting too much. The market's just so buoyant just now. There's so many people buying units, and as well as that, materials are expensive and lead times are long. So it is hard to negotiate much. But at the same time, if you go along and tell a manufacturer, look, I'm going to buy 10 units, can I get a discount? Chances are they'll probably give you something, because that's quite a nice big order. Do you have any questions, Jack? Give me a little breather.
There was just, do manufacturers provide a kit to erect on site? And just saying that, some of them do flat pack. Now, the one thing I would say with flat pack is, yes, you can do it, and you probably will eventually save yourself money, but there's a lot of moving parts once you actually get them, just to make sure you've got people to kit it out and kit it out right, different sort of suppliers and tradesmen. But if you've got the ability and capability to do that, then by all means. But like you say, you can get them delivered on site as a plug and play system, like Calum says, and generally it does make your life a lot easier. And yeah, I think that was about it.
Cool. Okay, back to me then. When should you buy or order your units? So there's quite a lot of words here. Bear with me. I didn't write this one myself. So yeah, planning application will require you to submit the unit details. Yeah, of course. So you do need to make at least a kind of outline decision before you submit your planning application. Now, units can vary during planning. It does sometimes cause issues, or even after planning. As long as they're not too different to the original planning application, it shouldn't cause too many issues. But by the letter of the law, you should reapply if you change the unit type at all after you get your planning approved. So that's kind of one to bear in mind, is that you do need to be pretty close to what you're actually wanting before you submit your planning application. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to buy them before you submit your planning application, but at least know which ones you're going for. That being said, because of the lead time of quite a lot of manufacturers out there at the moment, and Graham and Oliver will obviously tell you their lead times when we come to them, but some lead times are 6, 9, 12 months at the moment, which means that some people actually need to buy the units before they submit the planning application. We've had quite a few clients that have had to do that recently, just because of the lead times and all that stuff. So please consider that when it comes to buying your units. Some manufacturers allow you to put down a deposit, reserving the unit subject to planning. So yeah, pretty much exactly what I've just said there. You could put down a deposit that can get refunded if you get a planning refusal for whatever reason. Lead times can vary massively. Oh, I've kind of just spoken through all this without knowing what's coming next. Yeah, so lead times can vary massively. Yeah, please do speak to the manufacturer that you're wanting to use early. As I say, Sam's about to run us through Glamcompare. So use that. It will take you less than 5 minutes. In fact, Dan, could you put in a link to Glamcompare in the chat just now, just so that people have got it if they want to use it after? We'll put in the link for Glamcompare a few times before the end of this, and we'll send you an email with it afterwards. But take a look at Glamcompare. It'll take you no more than 5 minutes to run through it and see what's the best manufacturer for you. Have a conversation, even if you're really early. All manufacturers will be happy to have a chat with you. And ultimately, you know, if you've got a better idea of what you're going for earlier, in theory, it should be a smoother process. And next, mutual understanding of expectations of the sales and manufacturing process is key before making a final decision. So yeah, that kind of ties into what I'm saying there. Have some good discussions with your manufacturer, see how they can help, see what their knowledge is like, see what they know about glamping, what they know about units, see if you get on with them. I actually think that that's a really important part of it. Will you get on with your chosen manufacturer? Because if you think, oh, I don't like this guy, then you're probably not going to have much fun over the next 3 to 6 months as you're working on specifying what lighting to put in and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be much of a fun process if you don't like the guy. So yeah, try and pick somebody that you like as well. That's a kind of little reading between the lines tip, but it's certainly something that I do with everything I do now. Whenever I'm buying something, whenever we're bringing in external assistants, whenever we're employing people, I always think, will we get on with these people? Because it makes your life a lot more fun and a lot easier if you do that. Next, so questions to ask a potential manufacturer to help find the right fit. So feel free to, in fact, I was going to say screenshot this, but this will be getting shared with you guys tomorrow morning. So you can screenshot if you want, but you're going to get emailed it tomorrow anyway. So do you have any pre-built examples? Yeah, of course. So ask the manufacturer, can I see some units that you've built in the past? Do you have anywhere we can stay in your products? So yeah, again, that's a super sensible one. Or even a site that you could pop along and see. A lot of the good manufacturers will have sites pretty close to you, and the owners will generally, this doesn't go for all of them, but the owners will generally be happy to bring you along and show you around, because guess what? A year ago, 2 years ago, they were in the exact same position as you, sitting, scratching their head, thinking, how on earth do I do all these things that I've got to do before I set up a glamping business? And now they'll be proud of what they've done, and they'll be more than happy to show you around. So yeah, maybe go and try and see or stay in stay in sites of the manufacturer that you're thinking about. Obviously, warranty, what warranty do they offer? See that before you kind of progress too far. And what are the power requirements? Because obviously, if you're going to have 4 units and they need 50 amps each, then you need a lot of electricity to ensure that you're going to be able to have it and everything will be fine. So that's a key consideration very early on. What's the delivery option? So generally they'll come on a HIAB, which is a truck with a crane, and it'll literally just get pulled off the HIAB and dropped into place. So generally quite easy, but is there issues with the roads? Is all those things, you need to consider that from an early stage. Is there finance options? So do they offer finance themselves? Do they partner with a finance company? We can help you with finance too. We can point you in the direction of some really good finance companies within glamping. I'll go too deep into that because we did the webinar on that last time for those of you that came along. Next, lead times. So I've mentioned lead times a few times, say times more, as we're going through this. And yeah, it's so important, especially just now. As I say, some manufacturers are on over a year for their lead times. Some are less, as I say, Graham and Oliver will tell us about theirs soon. But the lead times have just gone through the roof of late. Can you speak to previous clients? So I always think that's a good one. This is kind of basic due diligence really that we're talking through here. Next, what exactly is included? So, are you going to buy something and then only half of what you expect turns up? Are you going to buy a pod that actually turns up as a flat pack pod? I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit there, but you get the point. Make sure you know exactly what's going on. And if this is potentially needed for you, do you offer on-site construction? So some of you might be really at the end of a horrible road that's bumpy and all those things, and there's rocks over it and whatever, and actually they couldn't just drive a pod or a hut along the road. And in that instance, can they deliver to site and build it on site? Can they do it in pieces and put it on site? And so on. So, that's just some questions. There's loads more, but that's some kind of basic due diligence questions there. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to the guys now. I'll pass over to Oliver first, because you've all met Oliver, seen Oliver. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I believe that he's going to go ahead and share his and run us through a couple of things. So over to you, Oliver.
Brilliant. Thank you, Calum. Hi, guys. Thank you. Yeah, so Oliver's Huts, we founded it about 2 years ago now. For the last 20 years or so, I've been a carpenter, and everything we put into the hut is kind of things that I've done throughout my career. So I was a cabinet maker, then I worked for a green oak company, a house builder, various different areas, through the construction. And I guess we kind of fell into the shepherd's huts with the pandemic and trying to find a product that we can manufacture rather than being out on site, and the shepherd's hut was kind of like the dream build, if you like, which combines everything that that I've sort of accumulated over the years and love. So what I think I'll do quickly is just show you something on my website, just a little bit about us, and I'll just see if I can pull it up now. So this is us. We're based in Yorkshire. We're quite a small company compared to some of the bigger companies like Blackdown and Blankbridge. But what we offer is a super high quality hut, and we have actually recently put together a design for a new hut called the Bothy, which basically is a sort of traditional Scottish bothy on a shepherd's hut chassis. Now what we're trying to do here is create something that's quite traditional, but it's still got that sort of modern Scandinavian feel. This is totally 100% towable. So, when it gets delivered to site, it can come off the low loader, and then we just tow it into site with the Land Rover. Now, you'll see it inside in a second, but you've got a full bathroom here with a shower, sofa bed, wood burner, full kitchen. So this is something new that we're working on at the moment. And funnily enough, actually, we've just sold one, which is going to the Highlands later on in the summer. Right, so that's the bothy. You can see there the sort of internal layout there. And I'll just go up to our shepherd's huts. So this is the bridge. This is our sort of standard shepherd's hut, if you like. It's 20 foot by 7.5 feet wide. Again, it has a full bathroom with a shower and a toilet, a full kitchen. This one has a fixed bed, but we also do one with a fold down wall bed, which is great because you've then got dining space underneath the bed with a table that folds down. So that's quite good if you're staying in it, through the day and you want to sort of put the bed up. But this is the option with the double bed that's fixed. So I guess what's different about us, our shepherd's huts, we try and build them really, really sustainable. We use sheep's wool insulation. We use high quality timber. We use oak cladding, solid oak parquet flooring, hand-built kitchens, hand-built worktops, handmade light fittings. So we try and put as much detail into it as possible, using sustainable materials and hand finished things basically. Just come off that now, so you don't see that. Yeah. So the shepherd's hut, I guess the benefit of a shepherd's hut is you're buying something that's got a lot of longevity. These aren't things that are going to last 10 years, 20 years. If you look after a shepherd's hut, it could last 100 years, especially with the oak and everything else that's going into it. I guess with the shepherd's hut compared to some of the glamping pods and other things, is the shepherd's hut is quite a sort of quintessential English, traditional build. It's got a lot of history to it. So if you're on a site and you don't want loads of pods or something, you just want a couple of huts. It sort of sits on a hill, and it's admired by walkers, people going through, but also you've got the extra height, so you're looking out and you've got a good aspect. If you're in a really beautiful little area. Our huts are fully electric. We do have an option to do a solar if needed, along with gas, but at the moment electric seems to be a good option. Yeah, so if there's any questions or later on I can help out, just ask. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver. That was great. Guys, anybody that's got any questions, type them in just now for Oliver. I've got a couple myself. I've been writing as you've been talking, so you're welcome for those of you that have questions that aren't shouting out. I'm going to ask you and Graham the same questions. It's nothing too crazy. Firstly, before I start though, Oliver mentioned that there may be one of the smaller manufacturers. I would actually suggest that maybe smaller can be better in this instance. You're probably going to get a much better service. It's going to be a lot more personalized. You're going to, get your hand held throughout the process a little bit more, potentially. I'm not saying that, the bigger guys don't do that, but I have recently heard some pretty bad stories about some of the bigger guys that have kind of just got too big and it's kind of ran away from them. So, yeah, smaller can mean better in some instances and potentially here. So I saw a question get asked that actually is my second one, so I'll come on to that in a second. But firstly, lead time. Oliver, what's your lead time?
Yeah, so we've got quite a good lead time at the moment. It's sort of 4 to 5 months for a completed hut. I mean, this time last year it was sort of 9 months, but we've slowly been working through the order book, and we're at about 4 to 5 months now.
Perfect. Okay, costs. You're not going to be able to give us an exact one, but give us some ballparks.
Yeah, sure. So our main hut that we sell, the bench hut, that is 39,000, and that's plus 5% VAT. Now, what you get with that is you get everything. So you get all the white goods. So that's your hob, your microwave,
Nice.
your shower, but also you get the mattress on the bed. So it's literally ready to go. And obviously that includes the bathroom, full kitchen, bed, bench, and all furniture. So it's the complete package is around about 39,000 plus 5% VAT.
Good, thank you. And what I would say is that's probably different to quite a lot of manufacturers, guys. I don't know of many that give you everything. So that is good. We've got a question from Michael. Michael, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what you want to ask?
Yeah, hello there. Just a couple of questions. How many of these huts can you make a year in your current business model?
Yeah, sure. So for us, it's not about churning out huts. We're really focused on sort of high quality, and I guess our average hut build would take a month, so we could do 12 a year, something like that.
Okay, thank you. And the 5% VAT, is that specifically related to huts?
Yeah, so because the shepherd's hut is movable, if it's over 2.45, it can be classed as a caravan. so it comes under a different VAT bracket. So with the bigger huts, we can charge it at 5% VAT because of the caravan rule.
Okay, many thanks.
Thank you, Dan. When you go.
Hi. So for someone who's starting the planning process and has decided to go with yourself, what's the process for getting their name in a queue to when they get approval, they'll have a hut ready for them, if there is one.
Sorry, just repeat that again. Sorry.
So what's the process for someone who's starting the planning application? Let's say they've submitted and they've got about 6 months to get approval. Is there a way that they can put their name in the queue?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's that process?
Yeah, so yeah, basically we if people are keen, we'll take a deposit. Our payment structure is basically we take a third up front as a deposit, and then once we start the build, we take another third, and then once we deliver, it's the final amount. So it's totally up to the client, really. I mean, like Calum said before, sometimes planning, it can take some time. So people have to sort of, put their name down and order the hut just to sort of, get the process moving. One thing I would say to people is, with a shepherd's hut, if it all didn't work out, you could just sell the hut. I mean, they're not going down in value. So I've sold a couple to some people, and it's sort of given them that advice that it's not the be all and end all. You buy this hut and you can't get planning for whatever reason. It's not like you can't sell the huts on. Fortunately, they all got planning, but that's one of the good things about them being fully movable. I hope that's
Thank you. Now, another point on the VAT, I think I might be wrong, Sam, Graham, somebody can correct me if it is. I think it's to do with having a kitchen and a bathroom as well. Means that it can be 5% VAT rather than 20%.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll look happy with that one.
It falls into
Yeah, absolutely. If it's built. Sorry, just to interrupt. I believe if it's built into the actual build, it's classed at 5% VAT.
Cool. As long as it falls in with the caravan act dimensions, as Oliver said as well. But it can be quite long, but it has to be a certain width and height to qualify.
There you go. Learn something new every day. I didn't know that one. Thanks, Jack. Okay, I've got a couple more. Can your units be bespoke? How bespoke will you go?
Yeah, sure. So we try and keep our builds fairly standard, because every time we build one, we're trying to improve on what we're doing. We can make tweaks here and there. Obviously, we let the client sort of pick colors, choose the fabrics, but we try not to sort of change too much, just because we know it works really well, and it's evolving, if you like, and every time we build one, we're sort of refining things. But yeah, so if someone said, can we have an extra table here or some shelves, something like that, of course we can make that bespoke.
I'm not sure what's happened to Jack, but I think you can see him in the back of dancing. Give him a wave, Jack. He's pulled a muscle in his neck. Go and lie on your bed. Okay, I don't know how he's managed that. And what's different about you guys compared to everyone else?
Yeah, sure. So like I said before, we're quite small, but we really love what we're doing. For us, it's not a big machine. It's like our passion that drives us. So, like I said before, all the background and all the woodwork, we get up and we really enjoy it. I guess that's the difference between someone churning out a hut and someone giving you a piece of furniture that that you're going to love and they've loved building, and it's going to last and it's going to be valuable. So difference with us is high quality, something that's built sustainably, and something with longevity that's going to last.
Nice, I like that. I can see the passion. Okay, thank you. Right, we'll go over. Oh, hang on a second. We've got a question from Chris. What are the main differences in materials you use to your competitors?
Yeah, sure. So we only really use green oak cladding on the exterior. A lot of competitors will use, larch, painted larch, cheaper materials, cheaper feather edge materials that you might get 10 years out if you keep painting them every year. But oak, it's one of those things that looks after itself. It'll last 30, 40, 50 years, depending on where it is. And then it can just be updated. So, yeah, we use the oak on the exterior. We use oak on the floors, the table, the worktop. So a lot of hardwood that's, going to last. And I guess a lot of companies will buy kitchens from Howdens or, wherever. So they're all quite standard. So you're just going to get like Formica tops and engineered floor rather than a solid oak parquet floor, if you like. But then, you will get companies that do all that as well. But yeah, it's just kind of hardwood. The difference between hardwood and softwood.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Now, I'm working with Chris out here in the Middle East, so Oliver and Graham, I'll link you both in with Chris. I'm sure he's going to have loads of questions. So I'll put you guys all in touch after this. Okay, Graham, over to you. So, guys, this is Graham from Timberbuilds. He's going to chat a little bit about Timberbuilds, just exactly what we've seen from Oliver there. So go ahead, Graham. Hi.
Hello. Cheers, Calum. Can you hear me okay?
All good.
Okay, happy days. Well, I'm Graham. I'm the managing director for Timberbuilds. Timberbuilds has been operating for coming on 4 years now. And we've enjoyed working for clients all throughout the UK and Ireland, not only as their pod or cabin manufacturer, but also during their site preparation phases and service installation phases of their project and advising on those also. Timberbuilds would bring a real emphasis on timber frame construction, as is closely comparable to timber frame housing. This enables us as the manufacturer to carry out bespoke design with ease in-house, because everything that we build is absolutely from scratch in the workshop setting. A lot of manufacturers would use prefabricated frames, like CNC manufactured frames that they would build together. And an indicator, if you've seen any of our units, would be we would build all of our stud walls, for example, to 2 meters, and then we start a curve after that. So this affords us quite a versatility in the bespoke requirement that we would see from a lot of our clients, and it tends to be a lot of the reason why a lot of people would come to us, and we would encourage people to do the same, which would lead us to why Timberbuilds and Glampitect would really shine together, because both of our companies have a wealth of knowledge and experience in the two areas that people most require. So this being the specialist requirement in architectural services, manufacturing services. So with that being said, I would actually, we were talking earlier on about how which unit or which type of unit might be right for you. I would actually always talk to my clients and think, what sort of unit can you imagine would be perfect for your site? And it ties in with what Calum was saying earlier on about USPs. Whenever you're doing your competitors analysis, how are you going to try and stand out from the crowd? Given that we've worked in so many different locations throughout England, Scotland, Wales, the Highlands, the Islands, Republic of Ireland, I would say that there's probably two main attributes on why a site would be successful, and that would be the quality of the unit that they've put into the site and the person's ability to market that. And the quality of the unit is harking back to one of the previous slides on how do you make yourself unique. So I'm going to show you a little video here on one of the jobs that we did in North Wales. I think that shows a range of our ability. We actually did this one on site. We don't always work on site. We try to work in the workshop where we can. But this one, although the video doesn't show it, it was on what felt like the side of a mountain, and it took, we had to take down half a dozen trees, and the digger was on a 45-degree angle just to get up the hill. So we did all the groundworks there. We actually fabricated our own steel pal foundation you would find in like high-rise buildings, and did a miniature version of that, and the site did a retaining bank. And this is a good example of a client that had a bit of imagination on how to use their land to the best of their own advantage. Just let me know, Calum, if this share is okay. You see that?
Yep, can now.
Yeah, so it is actually a lot steeper than what it looks like here. This is one of the side entry units. We do have off-the-shelf designs, but like I said before, we always encourage the clients to come up with their own ideas and designs and how they want to try and penetrate the market as it's becoming more and more competitive. The lady that we worked for here was an interior designer, so we actually picked up a lot from her while we were going through the project. Even in the staircase there, a couple of trees that I mentioned that we cut down before is the logs that you can see either side of the steps. We've got a larch and thermalwood feature wall, stove in the corner, and that's the bathroom at the back with a kitchen in the right-hand side. Chris will shake his hat at me, it's from Howden's. And just like your site, Calum, we finished this job on the Friday, leaving where tools in hand, and the first clients were in on the Saturday, and she was actually booked out for the following 3 weeks after that. So she was a really good example of somebody who knows how to market.
I bet you were sweating on the Friday.
Yeah, we were sweating the whole time. Had some legs on me by the time we finished walking up and down the hill so often.
What was the price for one of these jobs then? Just estimate.
Sorry?
What was the price for that typical hot, say? I know there's obviously a lot of groundwork there, I can see.
Yeah, there was a lot of groundwork. The groundworks in that task, I think, was about, I think it was give or take 8,000. And the build itself was about 29,000. And this is about 2.5 years ago.
That's not bad.
Sorry?
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was good. That same unit in the workshop now, we can actually manufacture for about 33 in the workshop still today.
And lead time on these as well, Graham?
Yeah, the lead time's a challenge that we're facing nigh on every day. Becomes harder every week. Actually, we're getting orders coming in weekly. Really, we're 4 or 5 months as well. Yeah, it's just always a challenge to try and keep that coming back.
Yeah. So what are you currently looking at?
Yeah, 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, folks?
I've got a couple here and people can put their hands up. Thank you, by the way, Mike, doing my job for me. You can come back. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, type them in, put your hand up, shout out, whatever, but I've got a couple here to ask. So firstly, I'm conscious of time, guys. We were meant to be an hour, we're pretty much at it, and we've still got Glamcompare to run through. So I'm happy to keep running on. This is getting recorded if you guys need to go, but feel free to stay. We do have an absolute hard stop, or at least I do, of about half an hour from now, because it's the biggest football game in my kind of living memory for Scotland tonight. So we'll be watching that. But we do have about half an hour. So we'll have a couple of questions with Graham. We'll go over to Sam to run us through Glamcompare for you, those of you guys that can stay. And yeah, then we'll wrap up. So we'll maybe be another 15 minutes or so. So a couple more questions. We've done lead time. Graham, we've done cost of that unit. What about your costs in general? Is that a standard unit? Is that a standard cost, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, to be honest, we don't really have anything that is standard. I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but we always try to talk to the client and think, have a think yourself, have a think about ways that you can make yourself unique, and we enjoy doing that. We have to build everything from scratch anyway. We always build with the same timber frame technique, and we always enjoy doing something that's fresh. But we've got units, so if you were to pick your standard traditional looking glamping pod at 5 meters by 3 meters, they're 19,600 plus 5% VAT, ranging the whole way up. We've got units at 60,000, 70,000 and beyond.
Perfect, thank you. Now that answers a couple of other questions that are coming up, so I can skip over them. What I would say, guys, is that Graham and Timberbuilds are one of the kind of best priced manufacturers on the market. You know, you're probably hearing by the numbers here. Comparatively, they are lower and still really good quality. So definitely worth considering if you're looking at glamping pods. And again, as Graham says, we work well together. We've worked on a few projects. In fact, Graham's bailed a couple of clients out on some groundworks things and stuff, even when he's not been involved in that aspect on some of the projects that we've worked in. And then finally, Graham, I'm going to jump over a couple of questions. What is different about you guys compared to everyone else?
Well, certainly for the Glamping Pod manufacturers, I don't know anybody else that doesn't really use the prefabricated frames. It would seem to me that most manufacturers out there are using it because of the speed of manufacturing. It makes sense in that way, but no, we like to use the Caravan Act to its fullest, and you know whenever you're stood inside one of our units because you've got so much more space. Like Jack, the first time I met Jack was over in Belfast when he checked out a couple of our units, and he's not a short lad. And it was his first comment on it. You know, the wall heights are 2 meters from the finished floor level, and then we start the curve of the unit, and we're making most of the Caravan Act at 3.1 meter in the finished floor level to the inside of the ceiling.
Yeah, it does make a massive difference. That was literally the first thing I noticed. It was a shorter unit than they say the kind of ones at NC 500 pods, but you've had so much more space because of that 2 meter curve, and you know it just gives you the options for mezzanine beds and stuff like that as well. So yeah, that was I think that's obviously a unique selling point in itself. It's just utilising the most amount of space for what you can use.
Yeah, that's the USP. But like the bespoke, you know, the bespoke end of things is something I really want to hammer home because we love to do it. You know, the market is going to saturate in terms of options, you know, so try and think ahead of the game for the folks that are in here and they're going to get onto the same racetrack as everybody else. Try and get yourself the best performing thing that you think is going to last.
Yep, that makes sense. And yeah, I would say that I recognise one of your units as soon as I see it because of that kind of straight wall shape and then the roof. As soon as I see one of them, I go, that's a Timberbuild unit. So yeah, that definitely does make you guys stand out. Okay, thank you very much, Graham. We'll share Graham's details. We'll share all of his details for anybody that wants to speak to them directly. In fact, guys, feel free to put it in the chat just now in case anybody wants to take your details. Okay, Sam, over to you. I believe, let me just double check on the slides. Yeah. Who are Glamcompare and how can they help? So I'll give a very brief introduction and then pass over to Sam. So similar to the NC 500 pods to Glampitect piece, when I was working with clients just like you guys in Glampitect, I realized that there was a really big need to help people work out who the best manufacturer for them was. It's a wild west out there with some manufacturers. There is the good, the bad, and the ugly. There must be at least 70 manufacturers throughout the UK now, and we've heard some complete horror stories. As well as that, you know, there's some great manufacturers that don't have a very good, you know, website presence, maybe don't go to shows, and because of that, people struggle to find them. And we wanted to create a kind of level playing field for you guys to come on and work out who's the best manufacturers for them. So I thought, let's make something that can compare them all. And with that said, I'll pass over to Sam now to talk you through exactly what that is.
Thank you very much, Callum, and thank you, Graham and Oliver, for obviously sharing a bit about your companies. I'll just share my screen now. So, as Callum mentioned just then, Glamcompare, the reason why it was created was to help buyers that don't know where to start, really, when it comes to sourcing glamping units. So, if you obviously have a manufacturing background, or if you know what you're doing, or if it's not your first site, you may already know where to look. But if you're just starting out and are unsure of where to look, it can certainly be a minefield. If you Google buying glamping pods, there's so many ads and so many options available that it's firstly, it's time consuming. You've got to tell a lot of individual manufacturers about your project and then wait for responses, and then obviously move forward with viewings, etc. for any interested parties. So we were looking for something that really saves you time and puts you in control of that initial search process. So Glamcompare, in essence, is where you can come, tell us about your project, compare listings, and sort of do initial searching. The platform has some really cool built-in tools that allow you to work out return on investment and compare units between each other. So when you're doing that initial search process, this can really speed that up, and it allows you then to speak directly to the manufacturers via the platform, where you can get into conversation with them. It could be asking questions such as lead time and availability, and in theory it's a place where you can get into touch with manufacturers, and at least when you're speaking to them, you're in the right ballpark. You know the type of unit they've got, what that specification is, and the sort of budget that you need to allow to obviously gain that unit as part of your site. So Glamcompare is what we're called. Just briefly about us. So as I've just mentioned there, it can be time consuming and hard to know where to start. So we are here to help people make the process easier, quicker and better than it ever has been before. Based on what Glampitect does, we were asked numerous times, do we know decent manufacturers? And now the answer is yes, and we've compiled a list of them. This will be a growing list, but at the moment we're very proud of the partners we've got on the site, and there's some great listings for you to have a look from. So there's two ways you can use the platform. What I would always suggest is logging in. So first of all, register with us. And then you can use the login, because that opens up the section where you can utilize the calculator and the return on investment tools, and you can save your searches. And basically, you can manage your whole shopping experience from your login. So you can create an account and keep coming back to it. So there's two ways to go through it. I'll just click on compare units for the moment. So hopefully this is sharing okay, but it's very simple. I won't spend too much time on it because you can play around and go through this process relative to your own project. But you can tell us about your project. You can tick multiple if you're unsure what you're looking for, or it may be that you're either looking for a pod or a heart. So you can go through this process. Again, there's options there for the type of finish. You can tick through any ones that you would consider or think relevant to your project. So as I said, I'll just go through this process. So at the moment, it'll be looking at wooden interior or painted interior. You can tell us about how many people ideally you're looking to sleep in one of your units. And then there's some questions there. So we're asking about the features that you want included. So are you looking for toilets and showers? Are you looking for a kitchen? Do you know how you want your units heated? Again, we appreciate you might be at the start of your journey, so this might be unknown. So you can tick everything if you're unsure. And you can filter through the pages, but importantly, you can tell us how many that you're looking to buy, how many months a year your site will be open, which is all important information that the manufacturer can then work with. So what sort of base do you want your units to sit on? Again, you may know, you may be unsure. Will you be landscaping your site? All questions like this, which is important for us to sort of gain an understanding of what your project is looking like. And do you consider other areas as well as units to be important to your site? So you're thinking hot tubs, fire pits, etc. Because based on who we are and our network, we can certainly help with connections to those type of services or options. So I just need to tick these. So you can specify when you need your units. So you can say when your site's going to be open and when you need them, because this will be important. So when our manufacturers upload a listing, we ask them to specify the lead time. So then obviously you can be matched with relevant manufacturers. If you want to put in your budget, so we get a good understanding of what you've got to spend per unit or what you'd like to spend, and then your total cost for the site and for the amount of pods or units that you're looking for. That's all very helpful information and will help us match you with the relevant provider. So when you get to the end of this process, you can give us your details. Promise we won't contact you, if you don't need us to, but it's a case of you giving us our details. Then you can hit compare, and you will essentially be taken to a listings page. So that will be an individual search and listings you'll be presented with based on what the information you provide us. Now, I've just clicked on the listings page here. So the listings page is where you see all the different units that are available on the site from all of our different manufacturers. You can filter this as you would with any comparison site. So you can sort of type in keywords, or you can tick which type of units that you're looking for. So, and you can filter accordingly, and that will obviously change the search results. But it gives you the opportunity to look through the different manufacturers. I'll just go on to one of Oliver's units and then onto one of Graham's quickly, just so you can get an idea. So if I just click onto this, for example, should load up with pictures. Wait for it to load. Okay, I'll click out that one because it only seems to be showing one photo. Let's go on to the bothy. Okay, so here you've got a photo of the bothy. On a lot of the listings, here we go. It's starting to load up there. It might be a bit slower. So you can select, go through the photos that the manufacturer's uploaded, so you can get to see some of the images, or if they've got floor plans, they can include those type of details in, and you can get to know a really good description of the units and get a good understanding of the specification and what the manufacturer is all about. So they'll obviously have their address on there as well, and you can really get a good understanding of whether this could be a good potential option for you to consider. As Oliver showed earlier, he's got a lovely video there of his bothy, so you can really get to know the manufacturers and get a good understanding of their product. At any stage, you can then message them, so you can put your name, details, and send them a message, and that will then obviously get you in conversation with them directly. So you can use this platform to do your initial searching, but then get in conversation with the manufacturers, so you can really get into the detail of your inquiry. Yes, so in essence, that's why Glamcompare is here, to help make your searching for glamping pods easier, quicker, and better than it ever has been before. We work with a range of manufacturing options, so we do cover the likes of domes, pods, bespoke builds, shepherd huts, and we'll be adding to the list. There will be, I'm sure, safari tents, yurts, everything like that being added to the site as the site develops. But for now, feel free to utilize the site, and hope you enjoy using it. We think it'll be a great benefit to people looking to start or looking to add to their sites, and find inspiration for the next development. So that's pretty much Glamcompare. If anyone's got any questions, more than happy to answer. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Perfect, thank you very much, Sam. So yeah, guys, shout out if you've got any questions, put your hands up, type questions in the box. I've got a couple of questions, Sam. Firstly, how much does it cost?
Importantly, it's absolutely free to use. So this service is completely free for you to come onto and utilize. So part of the benefit is that we're working with manufacturing partners. The part of the agreement and how this works so well is that you don't see inflated prices on here. You won't get cheaper by going direct. It's all sort of agreed that it's for the benefit of the buyer. So yeah, it's an absolute free service, and we are here to offer that concierge service as well as Glamcompare. So it may be that you're not quite ready to speak to a manufacturer. It may be that you would like to speak to us before you speak to the manufacturer. So all of that's available free. to you. So it is just a service that you can utilize. And then obviously the cost comes when it's when speaking to the manufacturer directly.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, and how long does it take to use the front end of the app?
So it will take you literally minutes to get to a search result that's tailored around your own project. So you can go on straight away and just use the listings like you would any comparison site, and you can sort of find your way through it. But what we suggest to begin with is log in, register, go through the tell us about your project section, compare the units, and then it's a lot more personalized. But yeah, it literally takes minutes rather than searching Google or having to attend every show to find the latest units.
Perfect, thank you. How many units are on there?
We've got 61 listings currently, and obviously that will increase. We've got about 20 manufacturers currently signed up, with more coming on very soon. So yes, at the moment it's about 61 listings, but Graham and Oliver, if they come up with new ideas, they're welcome to put them on there. It's all about creating new variety of decent quality options that can hopefully be the right fit for the people using the site.
Perfect, thank you. And one more, and then I think I'm done. After I've come on, I've filled in my information, you've told me these are great units, what happens next?
So what happens next is, once you've been in touch with the manufacturer, you'll get contacted from Glamcompare. So it'll be myself or another member of the team that will get in contact with you to just thank you for your inquiry and thank you for using the service. And then we would be the connection. We will connect you with the manufacturer in whatever shape or form that needs to be. So it could be that we introduce you via email to the manufacturer. Could be that we set up a Zoom call and all share a screen, and we can then sort of have that initial conversation. At some point, once yourself and the manufacturer are happy and we're not needed within that process, you can take that on and speak to the likes of Graham or Oliver directly. But in the first instance, we're here to help connect you to the manufacturer. They're fairly busy, so they cannot always get to you as quickly as they would like to. So we're here to obviously help answer any questions and make that connection as soon as possible, so you can get moving with your project and speak to the relevant people.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Sam. That is the end of my questions. Now I'm about to wrap up, guys, but one last thing just to mention is the Glampitect Academy. Dan, if you want to send a link to signing up to that just now. So the Glampitect Academy, we run it, I think, every fortnight. We're just in the process of changing it all. And we got asked a question there, is the webinar on next week? No is the answer to that. We're only doing the webinar once a month in a format like this. However, the Glampitect Academy will be on next week, and it's either monthly or fortnightly. I'm going to pass over to Dan for a second, and he can run us through what he's going to be speaking about in the Academy. This will be kind of generally for people at an earlier stage. So Dan, over to you. Do you want to let the guys know what happens on the Academy and when it'll be?
Yeah, so the Academy, as Calum's mentioned, has changed format. So it's every second week of the month, which is a 2-hour webinar at 6 o'clock till 8. And it covers everything from setting up a glamping site, planning permissions, planning applications, websites, channel manager systems, feasibilities, just everything you need to know to give you enough ammunition to make a decision on where you need to go in terms of your glamping business. So it's, emails will be going out on Friday, this Friday, but with meeting links, and again will be next week as well when we finalize it, and it'll be on Zoom. And if you did have any questions on that, by all means drop me an email or just get in contact, and hopefully, if that sounds interesting to you, sign up and we can have a chat about your plans next week.
Nice one. Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, we will wrap up there, guys. Oliver and Graham, if you guys can just stay on this link, and we'll have a quick chat after. And Sam, Calum, whoever else wants to stay on as well. But thank you very much, guys, for coming along for the third of our webinars. I don't actually know what one's next month, but you'll get an email about that soon. We're trying to keep them as useful and helpful as possible. Let us know if there's any other ones that you would like us to do. More than happy to tailor it to what you guys want. So yeah, thank you again for coming along, and hopefully we'll see you all next time.